Hello, everybody. Welcome to 90-Minute Cocktail Hour. I am your host, Mike Guccione, of Driftwood and Dune Co. Photography, wedding photography. Um, this is episode 5. Super pumped with how great the podcast has been received so far. Thank you, everyone, for your feedback, your comments, your thoughts on different things we've talked about. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe or rate and review this podcast. That would be super, super helpful. All right. Administrative stuff over. We have one of my favorite people here, Krista
Oh,
Logue from Champagne Magnolia Events. I'm being really nice to you, which I don't know if
yeah,
I should be being so nice to you.
no. It doesn't feel natural for us.
Yeah, no, I'm actually I knew today was going to be really really fun. Um
I thought you were going to say tough for you because I'm a bully to you.
you know all right, hold on. We'll get into all this later. Let me just like introduce you a little bit. So Krista is the owner of Champagne Magnolias. She does wedding planning, day of coordination.
Hmm.
She has an amazing team. Obviously, you work the events too, but you have an amazing team that helps you.
Hmm.
You can do like multiple events a day. We've worked together several times at a bunch of different venues. I know when I see your face, the day's going to go super smooth. I know we're going to have a lot of fun. I know that the team that you bring together is going to be a lot of fun. The vendors that you tend to work with are, people that I know and work with. So, yeah. So I'm gonna kick it over to you for a second if you want to like add anything to that. To just
Yeah,
kind of like introduce yourself a little bit.
amazing. This kid's coming to steal my thunder, though. So,
Yeah.
okay. So, yes, Mike and I have worked together a lot. It's actually weird for him to be kind of nice to me right now. I'm not really used to that. Because we have such a good relationship because we work so much that we feel comfortable picking on each other. So thank you for those kind words, mostly about my team because they are fantastic. But yes, I am Krista. I am from Champagne Magnolias. I am the owner, lead planner, whatever you want to call it. We plan weddings all over New Jersey, Delaware, PA, New York. We go everywhere. And I'm very excited to be here with you today.
Yeah. So like I said, we've worked together a bunch. We have a really, really good
Hmm.
time together. Um, our dynamic is very fun for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I we mostly like you said, pick on each other.
Yeah.
But my goal with this podcast today is to actually like hopefully learn something about you.
Okay.
Um, because, on a wedding day, like maybe we have a few minutes, during downtime, if there's like
Hmm.
time during cocktail hour or time during, dinner at the reception, we can like kind of chit chat a little bit.
Is
But
there ever downtime really, though? I feel like no, but
no,
that's
not
just my
really.
opinion.
It's just like, yeah, no, you're right. Um, but I wanted to get an idea from you. So like, what's your background in like event planning?
Yeah.
Like, so like, how did you get into, like, did you start in weddings? Were you doing
Mm-mm.
other stuff? Like what did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I have a pretty like diverse background. I somehow knew I always wanted to work in the events industry, just like not from a young age. I was probably like 16 or 17. I guess that's a young age. But I didn't know like what capacity that was. I didn't honestly ever really feel like a planner because I'll be honest, I wasn't like the best student. I wasn't super organized. So I'm like, I don't know if planning's the best way. So I worked in hospitality like in high school and in college. I worked for a couple restaurants. I did a lot of catering and bartending. So I really thought that that was going to be the way I was going to go. I was going to work mostly in catering. And then when I was in college, I had a wedding planning internship, which I just took it because I was like, I need an internship to fill the credits. Like, let me see what I can do. So I took that. I really loved it. I ended up skipping a couple semesters of college after that before graduating to get certified as a wedding planner online, which, sidebar, a waste of money.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Um,
like, who certifies, like,
me.
yeah.
No, so there's actually a ton of different like online courses you can take. There are some universities like I believe Cornell University and Yale, they actually have like affordable online courses for people who want to get certified, aka you're just like kind of learning a little bit more about the industry and you do like projects.
Right.
But I got certified through, I don't even think it's a company anymore, US Events Guide
Okay.
online. I have like a plaque that has like my dual certification on it. But like if you Google it, it doesn't come up anymore.
Do you bring that to weddings? Be like,
No, it's
hey,
literally
here's
in my closet, like in frames, like not even hung on a wall because I don't need anyone to know about it. So I did that, and everyone was like, "That felt like a waste of time," and they were right. They were for sure right. So then I actually ended up going back to college and still working in like the events, catering, bartending, and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
ended up getting a master's degree in PR. Shout out, I'm actually pretty smart. And when I was in college, I started working for an organization that was for public relations students specifically, and I was the events chair. So I got my more hands on with the events. And then when I graduated, I actually went the corporate events route for a
Mm.
little while. I worked for a corporate event planning company where we did not galas, but incentive trips,
Mm.
retreats, a lot of stuff like that. And that like really just didn't feel what was right for me. So I ended up going back to catering and I worked in catering for a while as like operations and then director of events. And then right before I quit that job, I started Champagne Magnolias like on the side in 2019 and then COVID happened and it just
Mm.
like skyrocketed from there. And
Mhm.
I was still working an office job just because it was like a brand new business and my husband's like we can't be poor. Um so I get a job. So I was doing that in addition to this. It was a marketing job, project management. So it was kind of the same.
Right.
But then in 2022, it would just became too much to do both.
Mm.
So I quit my full time job, and I've been doing this ever since.
That's amazing. So, two
Yeah.
things. So, what I forgot to mention at the outset of this is, so you're the first person I've had on who's not like a photographer or videographer.
Oh,
So I'm like really interested to see how this conversation is going to go because, the other people that I've talked to, I kind of have like, I have that part of it, in common with them.
right.
Um, and, the creativity that people use for like photography and videography, like, obviously you need that creative muscle. And with planning, I feel like absolutely you need that creative muscle too. It's just kind of like a different avenue for it. So I'm like kind of
Yeah.
curious. I kind of want to go down that avenue with you too. But something you just mentioned that I think is really, really interesting, and it was actually kind of my experience too, was like starting your business around the time that COVID happened and then
Hmm.
having it like really explode as a result of COVID, which was like,
Yeah.
not, I think, what a lot of people expected. Like,
Hmm.
I'd been shooting weddings for a good amount of time before COVID, but it was right around COVID that I made the decision to go full time.
Hmm.
And what was really interesting about that time was like, yeah, there was that lull where like nothing was happening, but then there was that rebound effect of like, hey, we have so many reschedules, we have so many weddings that we need coverage for, and I so you probably experienced that too of um, you know, like going from zero to like 100 pretty
Hmm.
quickly.
Well, so for planners specifically, this is kind of where it differs from like other people in the industry because yes, everyone in our industry has back work, but like arguably planners have the most like pre-wedding day work to do.
Mm.
So for us, it really wasn't that low. That's actually where it was the most busy because people started to panic and they didn't have planners and now all of a sudden they're like our wedding is canceled. We have no idea where to start. Like, what do we do?
Mm.
So for me, it's actually where I got the majority of my business to like really start the snowball to where it is today
That's
because
super,
people
yeah,
didn't know what they were doing.
that's super interesting. That makes a lot of sense because I had, the few weddings that I had booked, my couple of brides were reaching out to me being like, asking my input on, whether they should postpone their, you know, 50 to $100,000 wedding. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call a planner. I don't know.
Call it. Yeah, I mean that's actually I didn't even think of it that way. So that's actually where you got a lot of your
Hmm.
business initially from.
Yeah, we had, I want to say, so like I was like doing little weddings on and off for people I knew prior to like actually starting the LLC and actually like really getting Champagne Magnolias out there. So I have been doing like little weddings, but I want to say, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. Most people are like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing to think like the first wedding I ever did, I'm pretty sure I didn't charge anything. And I also wasn't even there on the day because I really didn't understand what planning was. I just like did all the back work and didn't even go to the wedding. And it was like for a coworker, which is like the wildest thing now to think about. I'm like, there's no shot that we would just like plan a wedding and be like, good luck. Hope it goes great. Like that's insane to me to think. I'm like, why didn't I think I needed to be there?
Well, no, you just don't know what you don't know, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the first wedding I ever shot, I don't think I had a timeline. Like I don't think,
Yeah.
like I was like, what do you mean a timeline? Like I'm just gonna take photos of the things that happen. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. Like, what are you talking about? I need to know. You need to know when you're doing this. Like,
right.
oh, okay.
And I would
Yeah.
like this is actually really embarrassing. I would like show up from the moment like hair and makeup started
No
because
way.
I like in my head like, oh yeah, I'll be there all day, like all day coverage. So I would like
So
show
you're
up
there like 7 a.m.
in some cases, yeah, like
My,
and now that I think
sorry.
about it, like these poor people were like, what is he doing here?
Who is this man just like watching me get my hair and makeup? Yeah, that's crazy.
And
Because
then
people expect some couples don't realize. They're like, great, so you're all day, so you'll be here when like hair and makeup, not a chance. Am
no.
I there when hair? Like I'll be there an hour before your photographer.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for us to be there. I mean, unless like,
Hmm.
some couples maybe want that like full day coordination or like full day coverage, but like
Yeah.
no, like the vast majority of people don't want their photo taken before their hair and makeup is done. So
Mm-mm.
like and I don't know, in my mind I like didn't understand that. I didn't get that. And I never got any pushback on it, which, maybe some people like wanted that. My early clients wanted that, but
Hmm.
um yeah, I mean, those were like crazy long days. I would get there like when hair and
Yeah.
makeup was starting, and I would leave at the end of the night. Like I would stay till the very
Oh
last
my gosh.
song because I was like so, worried I was gonna miss something. Um, obviously now I have like hourly coverage, eight like 10,
Hmm.
8 hour packages, 10 hour packages, that sort of stuff. But yeah, all that to say, like you just don't know what you don't know when
Mm-mm.
you're
And
first
I
starting.
didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I really didn't. The first few weddings I did, like honestly, I look back at some of the pictures and I'm like, wow, that was really beautiful. And I didn't know what I was doing.
Mm. So did
So
you started with like design planning as well?
a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
So we an avenue of what we do now for couples, depending on the package that they get. I'm the only one right now who does design, and I say that with a sigh because it's it's a lot. Um, but when I first started, there was some design, but mostly it was just like the logistics of like when you should be doing things and what order you should be doing things, and like,
Mm.
oh yeah, that's a nice color, like that goes together, I guess. Like that looks great. And then I obviously grew into what I know now. But yeah, honestly, I was shooting from the hip a lot back then.
Yeah. So maybe you can kind of break this down a little bit because, like, I know for me, I don't think I understood this even until recently, like the difference between, you know, like planning an event design versus
Hmm.
like day of coordination, versus
Yeah.
like, yeah. So, like, maybe kind of like break that down a little bit, because I think it would be helpful not only for me, but for like anyone listening to this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so first of all, I don't actually believe in day of coordination, so I call it wedding day management.
Okay.
Um, because some people are like, oh, we only need 30 days or 60 days. I'm like, that's actual crap. Um, I need to know the couple, or anyone on my team, we need to know the couple. So starting 30 days or 60 days before their wedding just like doesn't never like felt right to me because we're making decisions for you on your wedding day. I need to understand who you are as a couple, who you are as people, and what your full expectations of this are. So
Hmm.
we start wedding day management like 90 days before. And honestly, for that specific part of the planning process, like everything is basically done in terms of like vendors are booked. We have a general outline of the day. Our team comes in and we're just like almost poking holes in what you've done to see where things still need to be filled in. We put timelines together. We reach out vendor communications from there on out just to like alleviate some of the stress for couples because you probably know, you probably have it. All a vendor, any good vendor really, has automation set up. So at like a 60-day mark, all these couples are getting the same email from every single vendor they've hired. And they're like, oh my God, I don't have any of these questions like even close to being answered. So we start before that and get ahead of that so that they aren't getting that like email anxiety. Um, and figuring out final logistics, attending walkthroughs, and then on the actual day of the wedding our team is there executing the timeline and the plans and just making sure that essentially everyone is doing their job
Hmm.
on the day of the wedding for the couple. And that's like the most basic version of wedding day management or day of coordination that you can get
Right. So that's
for
kind of like your version of like day
day
of
of
coordination.
coordination.
So
Yeah.
gotcha. So I mean, it sounds like what you provide is like definitely more of an elevated
Hmm.
experience for the couple. All right.
For that, then
Right.
it gets crazier from there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Take me through that.
Yeah.
What is like full design
Full service
and
is the best way for me to describe like full service or partial planning is with full service we are in the driver's seat in terms of like booking your vendors, all the communications, tracking your budget, managing checklists, and you are the passenger, but you're telling us which way to turn
mm,
in terms of decisions. And then, kind of in reverse, for our partial planning clients, they're still in the driver's seat, but we're telling them which way to turn with like the support on like, this is why you should go with this vendor, or this is why you should go with that vendor. And then both of them, we do full scale event design. So we put a full design deck together. I actually pride myself on them because some creative vendors like florists and stationers, they're like, this is one of the best design decks we've ever seen. I for sure go overboard because I get excited. Yeah, exactly. Like, hello, hair flip. I for sure go overboard because I do get excited about them. So I like throw everything I have into them. And then we definitely have to scale it back. But we like our couples to see the full picture of the
mm,
wedding day. And it's really hard for some people who don't have creative jobs to communicate their vision, one, to people who are in the industry, and then also be able to envision it in the space in like sequential order
mm.
to like see how the day will play out. So we do that. We take mock-ups of the space. We are down to like what we think the flowers you should use are. Sometimes we're wrong on that and florists will be like, that flower's not in season, but that's okay. Can we get something similar? So we're putting that all into like a comprehensive design deck that we present to the couple so that they can see their vision, make sure it aligns with budget. And we're finding things that are in the couple's budget and like within reason in the area they're getting married, not just like something that has to get shipped from California to the East Coast, which could blow a budget right
Right.
there. And then we use that to communicate with all those creative vendors so that they also understand what the couple envisions for their day. And that's like a lot more back work and emails and coordinating and budgets and checklists. It just never ends.
Yeah. So did you, and so have you always kind of had like an eye for design? Like, has that always been a thing for you, or is that something that kind of like developed as you started to build your business?
Yeah, I definitely think it developed. Like, people out there will be like, oh my God, I've always been great with design. I'm so good with like home decor. I'm not. I've lived in the house I live in for 2 years. We have nothing on the walls in our living room because I like can't make a decision for myself to save my life. But for other people, I find it so easy. It definitely was a learning curve. I definitely had to like take inspiration from other people in terms of like how they do things. I still use inspiration online. I'm like, wow, that would be perfect, but I just have to tweak it a little bit. So finding just like what works together. I also took a course on design. I actually believed in that one. I think everyone should take a course in design because it talks about like color elements and what goes together and texture and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never always had an eye for design, but I think when it comes to designing weddings specifically, because I'm passionate about weddings and events in that sense, it's a lot easier for me than just like regular design, like home decor or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I take photos for a living and
Hmm.
literally, almost never pick up the camera to take photos of my own family, you know?
Yeah,
And like, you know, so I have to like pay someone else to do that or have someone else do that for me.
exactly.
Um,
Even when people in my it's the same thing. Like I have a couple family members who are getting married this year, and some of them I'm like I love you, but like I don't want to plan your wedding. I don't want my team to plan your wedding because I'm a guest and
it's
I'm
so
gonna act
different.
like a guest.
It's so different when it comes
Exactly.
to family. Um, yeah, I know a lot of photographers who just won't shoot weddings for family.
Mm-mm.
You know, for
Too much pressure.
a variety, yeah, for so many reasons. Um, but yeah, I mean, same thing. Like my wife is um the one who, I mean, she's really the boss, around the house here,
As it should be,
as it should be.
obviously.
But I have very little input on like what goes where, and we still struggle with like getting stuff, up
Oh
on the
yeah.
walls. I mean, we have 3 young kids, so it's always like we just can't have nice things, and it's just
Hmm.
constant havoc and mayhem. Um, but yeah, so that's really interesting the way you laid out like full event design versus, like how did you call it?
Wedding day management.
Wedding day
Yeah.
management. Okay. And so how do you work that with like your team? So like you assign
Hmm.
team members to specific days and
Hmm.
they're like kind of looped in as you go through like each call,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so we set up automations. We have an office manager. Her name's Nadia. She's fantastic. She's probably emailed you at some point,
Hmm.
if you've worked with us, because she controls like all the back end vendor management and relations. But essentially, what happens is once a client decides to move forward with us, we actually pick right there who's going to work that wedding. Most of the time, for wedding day management couples, it is one of the other four leads on our team. So, like Megan, Emily, Kelsey, anybody else on our team who can lead weddings automatically usually get wedding day management. I do still work some of the wedding day management ones, usually because I'm the boss. I get to decide, like, if it's a new venue we've never been to or it sounds really cool, like, I want to be at that wedding. So I'm more reserved for partial and full service
Hmm.
weddings because they involve the event design. But we do like 90 to 100 weddings a year, and I can't work every single one of them, especially full service and partial. So a lot of times I'm there for partial, and then Meg, who is our head lead planner, if you will, she also works partial
Yeah.
clients. She does all of the logistics and coordinating and planning, and I'm just there for the design part of it. And then
Gotcha.
once the design's done, I step back, and our couple only meets with their lead planner because that's who's going to be with you on your wedding day.
Right.
We don't like to shuffle them back and forth. Of course, I'm always here for extra support, but mainly we try to keep the communications between the lead planner and the couple so that nothing gets lost in the shuffle.
Shout out Meg. Love Meg.
Shout out Meg, she's queen.
Yeah. So when you were like starting up your business, like like what from your past experience did you like really draw on? And I'm
Hmm.
curious, like what was it about like the corporate stuff that like didn't speak to you?
I think that mostly because the environment that people are in, like, have you ever been on a like corporate retreat for photographers or something? Like,
No, but I've photographed, some like corporate
mhm.
events and like conferences and that sort of stuff.
A lot of people you might realize don't actually want to be there. And
Mm,
they're kind of not in a great mood. So the corporate like retreats and stuff, like a lot of it felt like going through the motions, and a lot of it was the same exact thing.
mm,
Every like didn't matter who the client was. Most of the stuff was same. We tried to include some like fun elements where I got to be creative in there, but mostly it's like keynote speaker, breakout session, another keynote speaker, another breakout session, lunch, and then another session, and then dinner. It's just boring. I didn't find it exciting. A lot of people didn't really want to be there. So for
you mean you don't
me,
want to plan events for people that don't want to be there?
yeah, like I don't I want you to be excited to be there. I don't want to like sit at a registration desk and be like, name, here's your badge. Like that's just not for me. I'm a lot more hands-on, so I didn't exactly thrive in that position.
Enjoy this keynote session on TPS reports. Enjoy.
Yeah, like I'm good. Like I'm okay. I also like they're 3 days long. Like at
Mm,
that point point in my life I wasn't married, but I'm married now, and I like to be at home. I enjoy my mortgage. Like I'm good. I like to stay at home when I'm not working. So like being away for like 3 or 4 days like wasn't ideal anymore. The incentive trips, they were fun though. They were really cool. I got to go to some cool places, but it was mostly like retreats and conferences. So I think that's probably why I steered more towards social events
Mm.
because I know that a lot of people in this industry know that I hate everyone, but like I do love social events. I'm not shy about it. I hate everyone, Mike, and you know that I hate everyone. But for some reason, I'm fantastic in social situations. My family says it. People who work for me say it. They're like, for someone who literally just hates being around everyone, like you're so good at this. I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Do you think you really hate everyone?
No, I just say it, but there are some people I for sure hate. But
That,
like
yes.
I don't hate everyone. I just like I don't know. I don't know what
You,
it is.
I mean, my theory on you, because I've actually thought
Oh,
about this.
I would love to hear it, please.
Well,
I love that you have a theory on me. This should be good.
I mean, look, you know, the fact that we like go back and forth at each other all day on a wedding
Yeah.
day, like, it's that thing of like, if you really didn't like someone, you just wouldn't pay them any mind,
Oh
right?
no, I wouldn't. Yeah.
And, the people like, and I think it's kind of a Northeast thing, right? Like kind of a
Hmm.
Philly, New York, Boston thing where like that's how people interact with each other. People that like
Yeah.
each other, like that's kind of how we show our affection towards each other
Hmm.
is,
Yep.
you're going to get your balls busted. Sorry. Like that's
Yeah.
it is what it is.
If I dish it and you can take it, then we're friends.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's exactly how it is. And I think for planners too, and maybe this is just like something subconscious in me, like people don't love planners. So like I feel like I have a guard up sometimes with new vendors who like I don't know how they're going to react to having a planner on site. Most of the time I actually don't care how you're going to react, but like if you're going to be mean to me, I'm going to be mean, not mean, but like I'm going to like not joke around with you. And like
You're going to
that's why
dish
people
the
are
past
like
back. Yeah.
and then to like that's why probably like I'm like I hate everyone. It's just cuz like if you're not going to respect what I'm doing here today, then you're kind of in my way.
Right. What? But here, my thought, my opinion on it is, yeah, I think people just don't like planners who aren't good, or
Yeah, 100%.
planners who are gonna like not help the day go more smoothly. They actually wind up,
Hmm.
you know, slowing things down or like making things less
Right.
efficient. So, obviously that's never been my experience with you.
Hmm.
And there are other planners that I've worked with where I'm like can't wait to work with them.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like I'm also kind of like I'm very easygoing. I'm very like go with the flow. Obviously, and I don't think we've worked together where like it was my booking. Like I think for the most part,
I don't think so.
every time I've worked with you, I've either been like second shooting or associate shooting for someone else. But like I'm pretty thorough in like my timeline planning process. But then like come the day of the wedding, I don't want to say I throw it out the window. It's like you just don't know what's going to happen until you get
Hmm.
on
On
site,
site.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and even with doing an engagement shoot with couples, and getting a feel for their personalities there, you still don't know what's going to happen once you throw in the anticipation of the wedding, once you throw in the family dynamics and
Hmm.
hair and makeup schedules and having photographer, videographer, like all
Right.
eyes on you. Like, it you don't know
Things happen.
things happen. Exactly.
Things happen.
So, I guess all that to say, like, I want people there who are not only like competent, but who
Hmm.
also like I click with their personality because
Yeah.
and I think the reason that and you touched on it a little bit earlier, like, just wanting to be there on a wedding day, loving the wedding day,
Hmm.
wanting to serve those clients in the best way that you can, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, even if you're like dishing out, sassy comments all day, like I think your
Me?
couples know,
No.
your couples know that like you're in their corner, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
like
And
you're,
yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off,
you go ahead,
but
you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, and that is why, like, I think sometimes people get, not people, planners specifically, like, there are some venues and some vendors that just like hate to see a planner coming because they don't know what it's gonna be like. So for us, especially when I first started out, it was really intimidating, especially going to a venue that like does a lot. They don't want you there sometimes, but I think just like the team that I put together and I guess my bubbly personality, we've never really had any major issues with that. Like we've never really, I mean, we've had, conflict with vendors, but like at the end of the day, we all know that we're there for one reason. So like as long as we can work together to get it done, like we're not there to step on your toes. We're there to guide so that you don't have to be worrying about what the timeline is. We could be like, I could be like, hey, Mike, like we've got 5 minutes, so we got to move on to the next thing. You're like, cool. I just got to get this a couple more shots. Like, but I'm not like, Mike, it's this time. Like you're putting us behind. Like I'm not calling people out on a wedding. Well,
Yeah.
I would probably call out,
Yeah.
but fine.
And I would expect nothing less.
Yeah.
Um, but, and it's actually, and I think one of the things that I know myself as a photographer, I don't really think about, right? Because like a lot less of my work is on the front end,
Hmm.
like obviously I have, timeline planning calls, engagement shoots. Um, but, most of my work is on the day of and on the back end.
Hmm.
So, I don't really think about the fact that like you've probably had dozens and dozens of calls with this client, leading up
Hmm.
to the wedding day. So, like
Yeah.
you really have like a sense of ownership
Hmm.
over that day already.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know?
don't, I want to say ownership, but like I have a full comprehensive view of everything. Like for photographers, like you guys have a pretty good comprehensive view, but like you guys really don't care when hair and makeup starts in the, you know what I mean? Like you don't care what time their breakfast is getting delivered, and once you're gone at the end of the night, like you don't care how things are getting packed up or where the card boxes go. You know what I mean? So for planners, it's more of like not ownership, but just like a whole like higher level view of everything for the day
Yeah.
versus just one aspect
No, you're right. Like
of
as
the day.
photographers, I know for me, like there are certain things that in my mind, it's not that I don't care about it. It's just that like, you're focused on so many things throughout the day. Your brain
Yeah.
really has like only has the bandwidth to focus on like a couple of key pieces of information. And like,
Hmm.
for me, it's like, all right, when is hair and makeup going to be done? Right.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, when is first look? And then it's like, when does the ceremony? Like, those are the things that like, you know, again, I have like a pretty comprehensive timeline that I put together, but like once I'm on site, those are the things that I'm really focused on because everything else
Hmm.
can kind of be like worked around a little bit
Right.
and be like shuffled, right? Um, but yeah, you're right. Like you're getting there before I'm getting there. You're leaving after I'm leaving, and
Hmm.
you've had this whole string of emails and calls beforehand.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I mean, um, you guys do a lot of work. My
Yeah.
hats, and I'm going to give you a compliment. You do a very very good job. Yeah,
Thank you. That was so that was so weird.
it's not that hard. It's not that hard. We can be nice to each other. It's
We
okay.
can try.
We can
Yeah.
try.
We can try. We can definitely try. No, working with like you and the photographers and videographers out there, like I'd say we probably work closest together with photo and video because in my mind, I don't know if every planner thinks this way and you could tell me differently, but for my mind, photo and video drives the timeline before ceremony, drives the entire thing. So when I'm meeting with couples and then if I'm reaching out to a photographer or video team that I've never worked with, like I make it known to them like, listen, give me your timeline for what you need for the how long you need for certain things because for me I build my entire timeline around you in the morning because I don't want you to feel rushed. I don't want the couples to feel rushed and I want you to be able to be creative because that's a big part of photographer shops. Like you need the time to be creative because that's how you learn. Like you're still learning, everyone's still learning, but like that's where you get the good shots that you want to post on social media and that's how you get more business. So like I'm always cognizant of that when putting the timelines together, and then the other half of the day is really obviously focused around food service, but then also making sure we fit all formalities in before photo and video leave. So
Right.
like you guys really drive timelines for our team. That's how we build them.
Yeah, and I suspect for some photographers and videographers, probably more so photographers. Like that's where like friction may come in, right? Because as photographers, like
Hmm.
if there isn't a planner, like in general,
You
we're
are.
usually like we're the ones coming up with the timeline, right? So
Hmm.
um a lot of us are used to formulating those timelines and kind of formulating like the flow of the day, without a
Hmm.
planner. And so, and again, like I 100% love a good planner. So
Hmm.
I welcome it. Especially if they're going to like, yield to the timeline that the photographer is like already kind of set out.
Yeah.
Um, but, at the same time, like I think what I've learned too is, my creative vision isn't the end all be all of the day too. You
Hmm.
know, there's there have been so many times where there's been things that I've wanted to do that I haven't been able to do just because of the constraints of the day.
Hmm.
And there are so many things that happen on a day of the wedding that like you don't even think about, like you just like can't plan for.
Right.
So, um, all that to say, like I think it's very much appreciated that planners kind of yield to that photography timeline. Um, but we also have to like play nice too, and
Yeah.
understand that there that there's
There's
like
stuff that has to get
there's
done.
stuff that has to get done. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I think from your perspective too, and with other planners that I've worked with, um, not to sound like pompous or anything, but like it's also like to your benefit, to like
Hmm.
play nice with photographers, right? Because like,
Yeah.
and we're the ones that are going to be capturing your work. We're the ones that are going to be capturing like all that design
Yep.
time that you've put in, um, and yeah, like you want that content.
Yeah, exactly. And in return, like, honest, it's just obviously like how the ecosystem of the wedding world is. Like, if you're going to give me photos and I love your photos, like, I'm going to recommend you. You're going to be in our vendor list. Like, it's, it's a two-way street. You know what I mean? If like I love working with you and you make my day easier, you make my job easier, I don't have to worry about you throwing off the entire timeline and like pitching an attitude to my team, I'm going to tell other people about you
Yeah,
because I loved working with you. That's exactly how vendor recommendations work. If we love working with each other, we're going to recommend each other, and it's just how the system is.
exactly, exactly. Um, you know, maybe one of these days I'll like throw a little wrench into your timeline just to like mess with you.
That would actually send me, and I would crash out on a wedding. No, I'm just kidding. I can recover well because I'm prepared for all situations, and
Mm-hmm.
you would pay for it later. You don't have time to do it. You're too
Oh,
busy like taking artsy photos of leaves, whatever.
oh my God. So, um, this is actually a funny story. So, me, Krista, Jordan, Casey, shout out Jordan, Casey,
Yeah.
um, Lisa, from Big Day BTS, Dan Baldwin. We like had a killer vendor team that day,
And Meg was there too.
and Meg was there too.
Yeah.
Killer vendor team. And I forget who had the idea for this shot, but someone had the idea for this shot to like to
It
like
was me, but I was joking.
and no, but we were like we're gonna do it.
I know, but it was like I meant it as a joke. And then Jordan was like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, oh, what have I done?
And so you, Meg, each grabbed like a little handful of leaves and like
Yep.
threw them in front of the couple. It was like this, kind of like fall, like really cute looking photo.
Oh,
And Jordan was like, "No, we need more leaves." So I go over and I grab like this big pile of leaves, and then you shout out like, "Okay, Mike, we get it. You're a man." And
I'm so mean.
but we got the shot.
Yeah. Insert the picture here. Yeah,
Yes,
we did.
actually, yeah. I'll ask Jordan if I can use that photo and just like throw it in
I
there.
looked like it. Like she also got a photo, or maybe it was Lisa. She got a photo of Meg and I both throwing them and like running out of the way. I look like an asshole, but the shot was worth it. So, oh, can we
Yeah.
curse?
Well,
Sorry.
Lisa also got me doing this like weird little dance move with the leaves. I don't know what I was doing, but like
Oh my God.
it would be a really funny GIF if you just like loop it over and over again because it's just me. It's just me going like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Wait, do you call it GIF? Because I call it a GIF. Is it Jif?
As soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, "Oh my god, this is going to be a thing." No,
I'm sorry. I just
I
like
don't know.
I
Honestly, I rarely ever say that word, so I don't know what I call it. What did I say? GIF in that moment?
you said Jif, but I think it's a GIF. I don't
It's
know.
oh god. All right, flood the
It
comments.
doesn't
Is it a GIF
matter.
or is it a
Whatever.
GIF?
They're gonna say I'm right because I am. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Krista's right.
I'm right. I'm always right. 100%. All the time.
No, but like those are the reasons why I love working with you because I know you're going to put together you know
Hmm.
a killer vendor team that is not only easy to work with but like does amazing quality work, right? Like
Yeah.
Danny B had him on the podcast, you know, 2 episodes ago. Go check out that
Yeah.
episode. Lisa, she like obviously she works with Jordan. She does her own thing.
She's crushing it too.
She's crushing it. Her stuff is amazing. Like sometimes I look at her stuff and I'm like, was that shot on an iPhone? Like, you know,
Yeah.
like absolutely crushing it. She's got an amazing eye. Meg, I knew Meg even before she started working for your team.
Hmm.
She's just phenomenal. I feel like she's like the yin to your yang. Like,
Yeah.
um, you
For
know,
sure.
you're,
I'm
you could
strong.
be a
I'm a
little.
strong present.
Let's just say that she's the sweet to your bitter.
Okay. Whatever. It's to my sassy.
Yes, she's the sweet
Yeah.
to your sassy. Okay.
I'm the fire for sure, and she's the ice.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
Um, but like, and I think from a client perspective, and like these are things you probably don't even think about, right? Like,
Hmm.
I don't even know if maybe they do. I feel like some clients are like pretty savvy, but like, um, I feel like it's important to put together a team that you're going to want to be with all day on
Hmm.
your wedding day because you're going to see these people probably more than your own family, more than your own bridal party.
Right.
And this is like one of the most important days of your life. So like you're going to want to spend it with people that you like, with
Hmm.
people that you vibe with.
Yeah, that's exactly what I say to couples during like the inquiry process because so I do all of our inquiry calls because I still like to touch every wedding even though I don't go to every wedding. So I'm the one who like ultimately does all of like the inquiry calls for new clients or potential new clients. And I say that exact thing to him. I'm like, you need to make sure that this vibe fits. And if you want to move forward with us, you want to talk to the person who's most likely going to be on your team. If I have a pretty good idea and I know who it's going to be, I'll also let them talk to Meg or Emily or anybody first before they decide to move forward because we are literally with you on the most important day of your life thus far. And you don't want it to feel like, who are those weird girls in the corner just like watching us all day? You want it to feel like a vibe. You want it to feel like your friends are there. So that's why I'm like, you want a hype team. And that's what we do. We like hype you up on your wedding day because otherwise it's like awkward. Like things could like, I don't know. I just like, you want it to be a good vibe and you want everybody to get along. So like finding the right team for you personality wise is also arguably just as important as making sure they're like in your budget or in your area, whatever. Finding the right personalities that work with yours is huge because
Right.
otherwise it's like kind of stale sometimes on a wedding day.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've already kind of talked about this a little bit, but like, what are the things that you look for, like when you're adding, a vendor to your like preferred list?
Yeah. So we have to have worked with them before. That's just like a non-negotiable because I know there are some vendors out there that will like put people on their vendor list that like they just like have heard of or know of or paid to be on there. I don't think that's ethical. Um,
We'll
so
just leave that right
I
there.
yeah, that's where I'll stop on that. So everyone on our team, we've definitely worked with before, multiple times usually. Sometimes if I work with like a photographer or a florist for the first time and like I have a phenomenal experience, I'll put them on there. But some of the other things that we look at is how well they communicate with not just us, but the client. Like if it takes you 3 or 4 days to answer my email, like that's not ideal when I'm reaching out to you like 2 or 3 weeks before the wedding because we have a quick change and I don't know if you've gotten that information. So communication is really another one that is a big factor on who or if we put you on our vendor list. And then honestly, I'm gonna hate this answer as soon as it comes out of my mouth, but like also the vibe, which makes me sound kind of like a tool. But like if I get along with you, like there's a good chance you're gonna get along with most of our clients because again, I go through the inquiry process. So like if I'm on the phone with a client and I like can tell something's a little bit off or they're like not laughing at my jokes, rude, but like I can tell that they're probably not gonna be for us. So I find a lot of vendors who have like my same personality or like style, not style's the wrong word, but like who live in the same realm as I do, I guess you could say.
Mm.
That sounds terrible, but yeah,
No, I mean, yeah, it sounds cheesy, but it's a really good way to put it.
it sounds terrible. Like it sounds so cheesy. Like,
We're
oh,
so,
just go off. It sounds so hippie. I'm not a hippie. It just like sounds like going off vibes, but
yeah.
it's true.
I mean, are we cringe now? Like, is
Yeah,
that,
100%. I'm surprised that I haven't said anything that's going to get me canceled yet. I should probably have.
I honestly was trying to stay away from saying that because now I feel like we're not manifesting that.
I jinxed us. No, it's fine. I don't care.
So another like I feel like, and this kind of like plays into this question a little bit, but so, like a theme that's come up. Hey,
So,
can you
is
still
that
see me?
mine? I can
No,
still
that
see you and hear you. I can hear the vibrating though.
yeah. Sorry, hold on. Who
It's okay
dare?
because I have to cough. Perfect.
Okay,
Cut
and
that.
go. Um, so a theme that's kind of come up in each of the episodes, and mostly probably because like it's something I'm thinking about a lot and something I'm like very conscious of. I don't want to say self-conscious, just like I've become like very aware of it. Like, have you started noticing like a generational gap between like you and like some of your clients? Because I know for me, like I'm definitely on like the elder
Mm,
millennial spectrum of things.
yeah,
Like
you're
I'm gonna be,
so old.
I'm dude. Look at this.
I was kidding.
I mean, some of that is my, my kids, but no, like I've just noticed that I'm going to be 40 in July, and
Okay.
the people who are
Should
getting
we throw
married,
a party for your 40th birthday? I can plan one.
maybe.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Tell your wife to call me.
All right,
Anyway,
we'll put that to the side.
yeah.
Um, have you noticed any like things that younger couples are wanting or like behaviors in like I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe from like, maybe from like a business standpoint, but also just from like a cultural standpoint. Like, what are you noticing?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
I mean, I'm also I guess I would be considered an elder millennial. I'm gonna be 35 in October. So, I definitely notice some like traditional things that they tend not like people who are like 25, 26, like they don't care. They don't care. But like I have people who are like, we're not even gonna have a cake because I don't care about cake.
Mm.
They're just like they are really more focused on the love and the reason they're there. And I love that for the younger generations because I would say for older generations, like a lot of times, especially if parents are paying for it, especially like back in like the early 2000s and the 90s, like parents were pretty much just like showing off that their child was getting married, in my opinion. And now it's less of that because more and more people are funding their own weddings. So they're like, we're paying for this. We're going to have this be what we want it to be. I've had couples who like don't even start with ceremony. They start with cocktail hour, go to ceremony, and then go right to reception because they are just like throwing like tradition out the window and we're here for it because we love an untraditional like unconventional wedding. But that's I'm definitely seeing more of that. And I can also see where sometimes where I'm like, oh, are you sure you don't want to do that? And I'm like, wait a second, I'm still cool and I'm still fun. So like I can do this. But there are definitely times where I'm like, oh God, I'm really showing my age here.
If
And like
you
sometimes I
if you have
say
to
it too.
say I'm cool, I'm fun, you might not be.
No, I know. No, I know. But the good thing about my team is that like I'm the oldest person on my team. So like we have planners who
Mm.
are still like we have some planners who like are freshly 25. Like we have a very large variety of ages on our team. So like if I'm on a call and I'm like I'm not cool enough to be on this wedding, like I'll give it to someone else. Because like I think I'm pretty good at like matching energies and I actually hate that I just said that, but I feel like I'm pretty good at gauging like who's going to be good for what couple. Knock on wood, I've never had any major issues with someone being like I don't really love who I'm placed with.
Mm.
So like having the wide age variety on our team really helps with me getting older and people getting married staying like 26 and 27 because
Yeah.
I'm like, they're like, yeah, we're gonna like, even on calls they're like, okay, it'll be like a 7 o'clock call and it'll be done at 8, and they're like, all right, we're gonna go out to dinner. I'm like, dinner? It's 8 p.m., I'm going to bed. What do you mean?
That's so true. I know. I feel weird offering those call times of like, 8:30, 9 o'clock, because
um
I'm like,
no.
but you're right. Like, yeah, they're like young. They're still awake. Like they're, going out doing
Yeah,
things. Like after 8:30, like, no.
I'm useless. I
Yeah.
I don't even schedule calls after like our my last call has to end by 8 p.m. because one, I like to protect like my mental health. I also like don't want to be sitting at my desk till 10 a.m. because I also have zero self-control. Like I could sit down at my desk at 6 a.m. and literally be here till 8 p.m. at night and I don't even realize it. I don't
Mm,
know if it's like my work ethic or just like what I'm used to. Like I will sit here until my stuff is done. So part of it is to like make sure I get up and like walk away from my desk. But like I gotta go to bed.
yeah.
It's 8 o'clock. I need to put comfy clothes on. I need to be horizontal.
Yeah. So circling back to something you said, couples wanting to have, maybe throwing some traditions out the window and having
Hmm.
a little bit more control over, aspects of the day. And I remember a wedding I shot a few months ago, and I honestly I can't even remember what the specifics of it were, but I just remember there were a couple things that the couple did that I felt like wow, that was a really intentional decision that you made for yourself
Hmm.
for that day, and I
Yeah.
really love that. Um,
I
and
wish you could remember because I need to know now.
I know I feel. I mean, it definitely it was definitely like a an unannounced cake cutting, and I actually,
Oh,
you know,
I love an unannounced. I hate unannounced cake cutting.
yeah, I do like that trend. Because I feel like that just kind of most couples, I feel like if given the choice, like they don't want to call too much attention to it.
Yeah.
Um, maybe it was, I don't know. I really wish I could remember, but I just remember thinking like, wow, good for you guys. Like you made a really intentional decisions for yourself,
Yeah.
that like is going to make your day more enjoyable, and it photographed really well too. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I could remember what it was. So this story is kind of pointless, but
Isn't that, but that's another thing, honestly, though, because like I'll have some, I don't do a lot of triple header wedding weekends anymore, but I have some coming up and it'll be like Sunday and someone will be like, oh, where were you this weekend? I can't even remember. I
yeah,
can't remember. I'm like, oh, and I have to sit there and think, where was I 2 days ago? Because like I like can't remember.
yeah, it's normal. I mean, I think, and I've talked about this with other photographers. Um, what I think what happens after a couple of days shooting in a row, especially if you're like lead shooting, doing a double or a triple, like you just get like decision fatigue, because,
Yeah.
and I'm sure it's the same with you. Like you kind of have to make split second decisions about ceremony indoors or outdoors, or
Hmm.
like whatever rentals we have, like maybe don't fit in like the place that we thought they were going to go, and like whatever,
Right.
same thing with photographers, like, where are we going to do family formals, bridal party we're waiting on. So, like, what can we do in the meantime? Like, you just have to make so many decisions over the course of the day that, like, physically at the end of the wedding day, like, yeah, I'm tired, but like mentally, like, I'm more mentally tired than anything
Hmm.
else, and
Like
especially
it's,
after like a triple weekend, like, I can't even have
yeah.
a conversation,
Like
like,
sit in silence on the way home, like hour and a half drive. Like I've driven home on the New Jersey Turnpike, zero sound.
you're not the first person to say that. Caroline, on the first episode, said the exact same thing. Like,
Yeah, I'll sit in my driveway for 10 minutes. When I get home, my husband will be like, are you going to come inside? I'm like, I need a minute, man. I'm coming.
I need a minute of not moving and like
Yeah, like I need a
and
minute of
quiet.
not focusing on the road right
Yeah.
now. Like all I've been doing all day is focusing. I need to sit in silence before I come in and the dogs are jumping on me and you're asking questions because I can't do anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for me, fortunately, most times when I get home, the kiddos are asleep.
Yeah.
So like I can have a little bit of time, but there are those like, those some nights where I get off like a little bit earlier and they're still awake.
He loves his kids, everybody. He loves them.
I know.
He doesn't mean it like that.
It's just after, an 8 or a 10 hour wedding day, being
Hmm.
around people all day. And I love people. And on it, like that's the thing about weddings that I love the most is the people and the conversations, right? Like I'm,
Okay.
pretty like chatty, and I'll strike up a conversation with like just about anybody. And that's like I love, getting to, if I have a second with like, the father of the bride, or like the best
Hmm.
man, or whoever, like um just getting to like get a little snippet of the couple's story from like maybe someone else's perspective, or even just their lives. Like that's, for me, that's like the thing that I love the most. And also, like, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, was because I'm just like interested in people, like on top of me being like so creative, like.
Yeah, you're just like the most creative ever.
So
You're the
for
best one.
I'm gonna let people in on this inside joke. So I think it was at this same wedding with Jordan, I like
Hmm.
tried to take a photo. I like zoomed in on
You
like,
lifted up a leaf.
I just lift. No, it was like the, I
It
don't
was
know. It was like the
it
dress
was
or
a
the
leaf.
it was like the back.
Oh, it was
No,
the
it
veil. It
was
was
like
the
the back of the
veil.
veil, and I like was
I
getting a
thought there was
picture
a
like
leaf.
just of the veil, and I'm like doing this, and over like over my shoulder, I hear Krista being like, "Oh my God, Mike, you're so creative." Like,
So artsy.
so artsy. That's what it was. Artistic.
You're so artistic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it
Um.
was a good shot, I feel like. Didn't you like I feel like you sent me like the picture after and you're like, it turned
Maybe.
out to be a good shot or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I hope. Yeah. I hope Jordan sent you the
Oh, I have
gallery.
that. Yeah, I have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So now I have that in the back of my head anytime, even when you're not there. Like I literally have this voice in the back of my head
It's
being
just
like,
my voice saying, wow, that was so artsy.
yeah, in that really sarcastic tone,
Mhm.
and
It's the only tone I have, so.
oh my God, so funny. But no, so but like getting back to that like intentional decision making, like in
Mhm.
your couples, like what are some things that you're seeing like specifically, even though like I was telling you
Hmm.
where I couldn't tell you specifically, but
Yeah.
um
So let me
like
think.
aside from like
So,
like there's like unannounced cake cuttings, I see a lot more. Um, the cocktail hour ceremony flipping. I've seen that too. Um, like what else can you think of?
I actually really noticed that a lot of couples are now steering away from speeches at the wedding.
Mm,
And they kind of want to get through everything as quick as possible because they want to maximize like the party time,
yes.
which I think is great. And some venues love that, but we also have to, let them know like, hey, it still takes like 15 minutes to serve salad. Then you got to give people the chance to eat it. But
Right.
I love when they're like, we don't want anyone speaking at our wedding day
Mm,
because this isn't like a performance. We don't need people sitting up here talking about our love story and how great it is. Like they're gonna do that during the ceremony. We want our guests to feel like this is as much for them as it is for us, kind of, in
mm,
terms of we're also so thankful that they're here that we don't want to have them stuck in a seat for 20 minutes listening to a father of the bride speech and then a best man and then a maid of honor. They're getting all of that stuff out of the way at like the rehearsal. Another thing that one of my couples recently did is they didn't do their first dance until right before they opened the dance floor. And it was intentional because they wanted to already be on the dance floor and bring everyone on.
yeah.
So we did the traditional like introductions, parent dances. We did sit down for speeches and dinner, but as soon as it was time to dance, when everyone you can kind of tell when a room starts to get restless at the end of dinner, we did their first dance and then from there, I can't remember who the DJ was. They did a fantastic job of I'm talking like almost every single person
Hmm.
onto the dance floor, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And they did that because they wanted one point in the night where every single person was on the dance floor with them, and
Yeah.
I loved that. I
Yeah.
loved the later first dance.
I like that too. Yeah, because it can be it's hard, like the momentum is hard to manage sometimes,
Hmm.
especially like, I think some venues, um some venues, the way they work it, I feel like it's a little bit easier to manage the momentum. Other venues, I guess with the way that dinner service has to go, there's
Hmm.
like, it feels like a lot of starting and stopping. And, I feel
Yeah.
like that can be a challenge for, for DJs and for couples. But, obviously like it's at the end of the day, it's like whatever the couple wants to do.
Yeah.
So, um, that's interesting. I like that. Um,
That's a good point that you just made. It is usually this is like one of my big things. Like It is whatever the couple wants to do. So like, and there are some venues out there that like they're so set in their ways that like they can't handle some sort of switch up like that.
Mm,
And like, in my opinion, they're paying all this money to be here. We could maybe switch it up once or twice to
yeah,
like give them what they want. It's not going to be the end of the world,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of at the point now in my photography career, and obviously like freelancing, I have a little bit more flexibility over gigs that I'm going to take and gigs that I'm not going to take, so I
Yeah,
can like be a little bit more picky. But like, I'm and not to talk negatively about anybody or any venue, but like
right,
I pretty much know where I want to work because I know it's going to be a very like the venue's not going to add any stress to my day.
right. Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned before was like, you have people on your team that you feel like are cooler than you.
Yeah, 100%.
And, I feel like I can kind of relate to that in that um, one of the things that I've started doing this year is bringing along, a content creator with me on,
Hmm.
just about every wedding and like every engagement shoot that I'm doing. Um, because like I understand Instagram,
Hmm.
TikTok, not so much. Um,
Okay.
and I'm starting to realize like one of the things that has been really tricky for me in my business is like delegating tasks to other people. And I'm starting to realize
Hmm.
that like I just can't do the social media thing.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So um I have, people that I know who are cooler than me who
Me,
understand
I'm cooler than you,
you
so
you want to be my social media manager.
leave that in. No, I don't even want to be my own social media manager. Oh God.
So, but like how have you delegated tasks? Like obviously you said you have like a virtual assistant or like an office
Office
assistant,
manager.
office
Yeah,
manager, yeah.
Nadia. Hmm.
And so like do you delegate like certain tasks to people on your team? Like how does that work?
Yeah. Well, okay. So delegating was like a really hard thing for me when I first started bringing on employees that would work for me because I would be like, okay, I need you to do this, and then I would just do it. And they're
Hmm.
like, why did you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I just felt like I could do it faster than like maybe explaining it, which is terrible leadership. So I had to readjust my leadership skills, number one, to learn how to delegate and explain how to do things. So specifically for Nadia, she does, I would say she does 90% of our admin work, like all of the back end things. So our couples get access to Dubsado. A lot of people use Honeybook. I use Dubsado. I love Dubsado. Nadia basically spearheads the entire system in terms
Hmm.
of setup, automations, workflows. She also touches every single wedding, whether it's my client or Megan's client. She doesn't even have to do this. She just started doing this on her own. She just reaches out to every couple and lets them know that she exists essentially, and that if they need something, especially if there's an emergency on a weekend that pertains to their wedding that's coming up, and their planner is on site and can't check their email, like they have Nadia to go to for like anything. But Nadia also, she emails all, she's our vendor relations manager. She introduces herself to every vendor for every couple, and she collects all their information, and that was like a really hard thing for me to start giving away to people
Hmm.
specifically, to like not be the one who communicates with every single vendor that we touch with, but like every vendor has like 10 weddings we do, or 10, every wedding has like 10 vendors, we do almost 100 weddings, like that's just too many people. A lot of those vendors overlap obviously. So that was really difficult to just like hand her that on a plate. That was really hard for me. Also letting go of some of the couples. Like when I
Hmm.
started hiring other lead planners, like realizing that I did not have full control over every single wedding. That was really hard
Mm,
for me. Like once a couple books and they move on to whoever their lead planner is, I typically don't even talk to them again
yeah.
unless something comes up or I send touch points, whatever. So that was like really hard to give up that kind of control because like everything is under Champagne Magnolias. So like no matter who that lead planner is, everybody's looking at me. So that was really hard to delegate. I haven't delegated social media, but I'm also not good at it. So so I'm like working on that. Nadia, she also does some of our social media stuff. For example, yesterday I purchased a new wedding day kit to store all the stuff we need for emergencies.
Mm,
And she's like, I need you to film yourself putting the stuff in the new kit. I'm like, why? Nobody wants to see that. She's like, yes, they do. And I like posted a story about like what the new kit looked like before. So it's all right over here. I haven't filmed it yet because I just can't. It's too much. But she's, I filmed a story about how I got a new kit and how, I'm filling it for the new season. And two or three people slid into the DMs and was like, film a video. And she was like, see, told you.
mm.
So she really does like make me film a lot of stuff, but I just don't have maybe I just don't have the attention span to then like go in and edit it on this little app on my phone to like make it look nice or do a voiceover. I'm terrible at it. I can post and that's really as good as it gets for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said before, I mean, listen, you have, hundreds of vendors you're dealing with. You have,
Hmm.
what did you say, like 90 to 100 weddings a year.
Hmm.
That that's a lot of moving parts, right?
Hmm.
So, one of the issues that like I'm running into is, I've had social media people come with me on a handful of shoots so far this year, and I'm sitting on a mountain of content,
Yeah.
and like I, I have like weddings to edit. I have like sessions to edit. I have like thousands of
Yeah.
photos to go through. I have like timelines to make. I don't have the
Hmm.
time to go through, 50 to 100 5 to 10 second clips on my phone,
Hmm.
and like put it
Yeah.
together. And that's where I once I started like banking all that content and realizing I wasn't doing anything with it, I was like, all right, I gotta like delegate this to somebody because A,
Hmm.
like TikTok, I don't get it. B, like I'm just not
You're
gonna do
so
it.
you're so old.
I am. I am.
Just kidding.
Yeah, no, my oldest son is gonna be 7 in like a week.
Oh.
Yeah, like I am getting old. And you know, and I'm okay with that. Like
Hmm.
I'm like really okay with that. Um, because like the flip side of that is what I feel like what's happened as I've gotten older is like yeah, I may like be physically older, but I also kind of feel like now that I'm at this point, especially like in the industry, I care less about what other people are doing and more
Yeah.
about like honoring my style, and like really honing in on that style. So
Hmm.
yeah, like, there might be some people who, won't connect with me, like potential clients who won't connect with me because I'm a little bit older, right? Like maybe, they want
Hmm.
someone who's younger, whatever. Like that's fine. I genuinely feel like there's enough work for everyone. I don't
Yeah.
like we can all be ourselves and like get work. But I think also like the older I get, the more I honor my style, the more people are gonna like click with that and be like, oh yeah, you know,
Yeah.
we want that. Um, but yeah, I mean, um, oh my god, I lost my train of thought again. Nope.
Having the mountain of content is
Mountain
where
of
you
content.
went.
Yes, mountain of content, and like yeah, so I have to like delegate that
Hmm.
to somebody. But I think also like you know, and this actually kind of leads me into my next question. Like you do all this work, right? Like you said before that you could be like unchecked, you could be on the computer from like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Hmm.
So like in addition to delegating, like what are some things that you're doing for like self-care and for, like to balance out that, the
Self-care,
work.
what's that? No, I'm just kidding. Um, well, obviously having the team we have 13 girls on our team now. So having them has really helped because before even when we were only doing like 30 or 40 weddings a year, I was doing every single one. I still do that, but those are not the only ones that we do. So I feel like now I often get to check out. It's not every single day that I'll wake up and sit at my desk and be here till 8 p.m. There are just some days where it happens because I'm like working on designs. Designs don't just come together in an hour. It takes days to do designs. But I do find a lot of time during the day. I'm probably the least productive between 12 and 2 p.m. So I like I'll get up, I'll make lunch. I don't usually try not to eat like lunch or any meals at my desk at least. So that like is a really big thing, but I have two dogs, so I try to take them on walks at least to take a break from like the screen.
Hmm.
Not to say that I won't go downstairs and literally watch a TV show on my phone. I'm just not looking at my email. Um, and then, like, on weekends, I really try to set the boundary that if I'm not at a wedding on a Saturday, I'm not working. Like,
Hmm.
I'm trying not to work. Like, of course, I also try to be accommodating to couples. Like, if you can only meet with me Saturday at 10 a.m., I'll meet with you for 30 minutes. But, like, for the most part of the day, like, I have that out of office on that says I'm out of office to, I'm not here. I also try to take Mondays off as well,
Hmm.
especially if I have multiple weddings on a weekend. I do try to give myself like a full day per week where I don't take any calls at least. That really helps my mental health as well. Like not just being because like there's some days where I accidentally schedule 7 calls and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And then I don't have time and then I can't like I'm a planner girl. I write literally everything down in my planner. So like all of my tasks I'll be like, I can't do any of these.
Hmm.
So like really I limit the amount of calls I can have per day now. I get up from my desk when I can. Between 12 and 2, don't even bother emailing me because I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like getting to know your rhythms and like when you're productive. Like
Oh yeah.
this is like this time of the day is like probably the most productive time for me.
Really? Yeah, I'm the opposite.
Oh, really? You're not morning?
Oh, no, I'm a morning person in terms of like this morning specifically. I got up at 6 o'clock.
Hmm.
Worked from 7 till we did this, and then after we're done, I'm gonna take a break, and then I won't work until like 2.
Yeah. I notice for me that I get my best editing done early in the morning.
Hmm.
So I like that's just when my brain is the freshest. I don't edit late at night because I've just had too many situations where I was like tired trying to
Hmm.
get something done. And fortunately, like I never deliver anything that late at night, or at least I try not to, because I
Hmm.
just know my brain. I'll look at it the next morning and be like, oh,
What was I doing?
yeah, what was I doing?
Do you ever like schedule them? I'm a big fan of the schedule send emails in Gmail. Like I sometimes will just like be sitting on the couch and be like, oh, I can answer these emails. And then the next thing I know, I have like 20 scheduled emails that are all going out the next day at 8 a.m. because I also don't want to set the precedent that I'm working till 11 p.m. and sending a client that email that late where they can be like, oh, I can just email her this late. Like I also schedule things ahead of time so
That's
that they
smart.
don't think I'm working that late.
No, I don't use that. Actually didn't even know you
Oh,
could
it'll
do
change your
that.
life. It'll change your life.
I actually have the opposite problem because like I over the last year or so have kind of gotten into the habit of not doing work late at night, but I'll do it. I'll wake up like
Hmm.
crazy early and do
Well,
it.
I'm still young, so I can still do work late at night, and I'm still hip. I don't know if you know.
Yeah. No, I'm old watching my bird feeder at 6 o'clock in the morning, being like, "Oh wow,
Not the
we had some big action today. We had a we had a cardinal, we had a house finch, we
not
had
the bird
a."
feeder. That was amazing.
But no, like I try not to send emails too early. So I'll
Hmm.
like draft an email at like 5 in the morning, and then I'll wait to send it, till like
So
8.
that they also don't think that they have to also respond at that time
Yes.
too.
Yeah, no, I mean, who's gonna no, they'd be like
Because I have done it in the past. I'll send an email at like 5 a.m. because I'm crazy. And then my client would email me back like 5 minutes later. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, fair.
yeah, no, my right, wrong, or indifferent, my schedule is like all over the place with,
Hmm.
the kids right now. Like it's just really hard because two of my kids are home with us. They'll be going to school next year, but
Oh,
right
that'll be
now
nice.
It's going to be a game changer.
I think it's gonna be so quiet.
But like, yeah, I mean, literally trying to find time to do anything is
Hmm.
a I don't want to say negotiation because I feel like that has a negative connotation, but me and my wife have to
It's a
manage.
balance.
It's a
It's a
balance, exactly.
balance.
It's a balance, yeah, because
Mhm.
I'm entering or I'm in the time of my season where I'm away, at least 1 to 2 days out of the weekend, and that means my wife is watching the kiddos all day for 1, 2,
Yep.
sometimes 3 days a weekend, which is arguably just as
Harder.
difficult, if not more difficult, than being at a wedding.
Mhm. Shout out to wedding industry spouses,
Yes, yes.
especially the ones who like don't have kids and they're just like by themselves on a weekend. Like, good for you guys. Because if it was the other way around for me, I would definitely feel neglected. I check in with my husband. I'm like, "Are you like mad that I have to go?" He's like, "No, like I'm gonna play video games." I'm like, "Okay."
There must be like a personality type that um
Yeah,
can is like cool
can't
with us
handle being
being.
alone.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
yeah. I feel like I would feel the same way. Um, like, hey, you're leaving me again on a Saturday. Like, what am I gonna
yeah.
do?
Especially if they have the type of job where they work. Like my husband works 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, sometimes longer. He has a pretty stressful job. So like sometimes the weekends are the only time that we might get together. And I'm
Mm.
like, gotta go. See you at 11 p.m. Maybe. Who knows?
So, like, what do you guys do for fun when you do have a day off? Where do you go? What do you do?
So we recently, again, I'm a homebody, so I don't like to go anywhere. I like to stay at home. We do spend arguably an insane amount of time with my family. I have a very weird, close knit family. We spend a lot of time together for no reason, like on weekends. Like we'll just go to someone's house to like have dinner or drinks or just like be in the same room as each other. But we are now like really focusing on putting a lot of work into our house. So like we will do home projects together. A lot of times we like will go shopping for things that we need in terms of like just like outdoor furniture. Like we're right now on a patio journey, so we're like getting things ready
Mm.
for outside. I just like really love going grocery shopping with him. I'm pretty sure he hates it. But I'm like, I like that's what we do. Like for me, our quality time is like come to the grocery store with me,
Mm.
or like honestly, can you just sit in the same room as me while I watch my show? But like, I don't want to watch what you want to watch. I want to watch what I want to watch, and you just be there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I guess. So that's like how we spend quality time together. We're either shopping or
Oh,
basically doing what I want to do.
right.
That
having him
shouldn't
come,
surprise you at all.
having him come do things with you that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. And then like he's too like and then sometimes it's a joke because like I want him to come with me and do these things, but then like I do everything at a fast pace. I think
Mm.
it's because of the nature of my job. So I'll be halfway done grocery shopping and he's still in the vegetables. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like what's
Wait,
taking
do
you
you
so
like
long?"
delegate what you're gonna find, or do you?
No, we go
Okay.
together, but he just like meanders and I'm like, "No, no, no. We gotta go." Especially if it's a Sunday at the grocery store.
Mm.
We don't have time for this. It's a war zone. We got to get
Yeah.
out of here. He's like, hold on, I got to go back and get the cereal. I'm like, we're in dairy. We're not going back to cereal. We're done here.
So I have a really funny story, kind of along those lines. Like when my wife and I first moved in together, before we were married, like we'd been dating for I don't know, maybe like 2 years or so. Um, like I didn't have very strong opinions on most things for our house.
Hmm.
Like I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. I genuinely didn't
Yeah.
care. Like, but we were in Bed Bath and Beyond. We were shopping for some
Oh
like
God.
home essentials, and we were shopping for a shower curtain. And she was
No,
like,
that has to be aesthetically pleasing. So
so all right,
I'm
so
already on your wife's side. I can feel it. I'm already
well,
on her side.
she picked something, and I was like, no, I don't like that.
Oh,
And
wrong
she
answer.
she was like, what do you mean you don't like that? I was like, I don't know. I don't like that. And we went back and forth for like a long time. Like we were in Bed Bath and Beyond for like longer than I care to admit. And it wasn't like a fight, but I think she was just like shocked that I had a strong opinion about something.
Hmm.
Um,
A
And this
shower
is
curtain of all
a
things,
shower.
too.
Yes, I don't know why. I just had a very strong opinion about what shower curtain needed to go in our home,
Yeah.
and it took her by surprise. And this has been like a running theme in our marriage where um, there are certain things, and I don't know what it's going to be a lot of the times, but like 90% of the time, I'm like, yeah, whatever you want. And then there's that 10% of the time where I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
can't do that.
Yeah.
And
But, and
actually,
you, oh,
it
man.
manifested itself this week in something so minor, but it was really funny to me anyway. She probably was
Oh
super
my
upset
God. My husband does the same thing. He'll be like, decorate however you want. I don't care. And then I will bring something home and he's like, that is hideous. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, that I don't like that. I'm like, you said do whatever I want. So I did whatever I wanted. He has an office. I have this office. He can put whatever he wants in there. I don't
about
care what it looks like in there. But don't you try to hang something on our downstairs walls where guests will see without my approval. It's never allowed. Never. And honestly, it became a thing when we were planning our own wedding in
it.
2022. Obviously, as a wedding planner, I've had a pretty good idea of how I wanted my wedding to be my entire life. Black and white. It was beautiful, stunning, loved every second of it. In the wedding planning process, Tom, who is my husband, he knew that these were our wedding colors. And one day, right before we were going suit shopping, he goes, I think I'm going to wear a navy blue suit. I said, I don't think that you are. And he said, what? And I said, our colors are black and white. What do you mean? He's like, well, I look great in blue. I said, I'm sorry. I said, you're wearing black. Like the bridesmaids are in black velvet dresses. Our colors are black and white. Our flowers, like everything is black and white and gold. And you think you're going to wear navy blue? And the boys, I said, we're going to look like a bruise. We're not doing that. So then we got into a fight about it, of course. I'm crying. And I'm like, now I have to change all the colors of our wedding. The bridesmaids are gonna have to be in like a pink color. I look terrible next to pink because I have red hair. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I literally used the phrase, when I was crying, he was like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm mourning the loss of the wedding I thought I was gonna have. I'm so dramatic. Mike, I understand. I understand how dramatic. I'm texting my best friend. I'm like, this is awful. Maybe 20 minutes later, he's like, okay, I'll wear black. And then it was it.
And
So,
a
yeah.
valuable lesson was learned. You know, a valuable lesson. Like you got to pick your battles.
Yeah. And honestly, I would have died on that hill too if he had still said blue. I would have been like, nope, I don't think so.
It's black, or
Yeah. Mind you,
we're losing some deposits.
mind you, I already had the conversation previously with my mom and my husband because I was like, we don't really need to have a wedding. Like, let's elope. I wanted to go to Vegas. I was like, this is gonna be dope. He's like, no, we have to have a wedding. And I'm my mom's only daughter. She's like, no, we're gonna have a wedding. So I was like, fine, but I need the both of you to realize if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it because that's what people are expecting. I was like, so I don't want to hear anything when I make all these decisions, and I don't want to hear essentially your opinion
Yeah,
if it's something that you don't agree with. And then when he threw the I'm gonna wear a navy suit at me, it was like taking a bullet.
yeah, I can see that. I mean, I had very little input on my wedding,
Hmm.
and I also wasn't really in the industry at that point. And I feel like,
Hmm.
you know, had I been, I probably would have been a lot more opinionated.
Yeah.
You know, especially knowing what I know now. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
I, I, the only thing that I chose was my, and I say I chose. It was probably chosen for me.
You probably had two options and you got to pick between the two.
Yeah, or like there was one option and she like led me to it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll
Hmm.
choose that. I'll pick that.
Yeah.
But I had like a tan suit, like a tan
Oh,
tuxedo.
that's good.
We did an outdoor garden ceremony at Rutgers Gardens, and then used
Ooh.
the pavilion there. It was cute. It was like really like rustic. It was nice. Um,
So tan fits that aesthetic though.
exactly. Um,
Like,
but I
you
was
weren't
also
like, I'm gonna
like,
wear a tuxedo with tails. That wouldn't have worked.
no. No, but I also was like, I'm gonna wear flip flops because
Oh God, wouldn't wear my dead body.
well, they weren't flip flops. They were like nice sandals. They were like nice, like Alakai.
Mm, okay.
I don't know. It's just my vibe. Like,
It
I'm
is your vibe. I get
I'm,
it.
I'm a beach guy. Like that's where I live. That's what I do. And she was like, okay, fine. I mean, look, we
Yeah.
weren't, our budget was not crazy. Like we had a very, simple wedding compared to like a lot of
Hmm.
our friends and family. Um, you know, it was beautiful. I loved it. It was like probably the last time, that all of my friends and family were in like one place all
Yeah.
together at the same time.
Yeah.
Um,
I loved our wedding was so fun. It was wild, but it was so fun.
yeah. But also like being in the industry, it's a little different because, you've gotten to look behind the curtains and
Hmm.
like how things work. So like a
Yeah.
little bit of the magic is
It's
kind of
gone.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for me because I had been well into the wedding industry before I got married. I actually quit my corporate job a month before my wedding because I'm
Nice.
like I'm done here. Um so like when we first got engaged and started planning like he would I actually kind of feel bad about this, but he would be like, "Oh, I'm like, okay, well, this is where we're gonna do it. He's like, do you think maybe I could go see that place first?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot that you've like never seen this venue." Or I'd be like, "These are the places we're gonna tour," and he's like, or he would send me something. And he'd be like, "I really like this place." I'm like, no, that place is trash. We're not getting married there." And he's like, "Okay, you have more knowledge than I do, but I still need to see these places." And same
Hmm.
thing with my mom. She was like, I was like, "This is where we're gonna get married," and she's like, and I was like, "This is how much the deposit is. Like, we're gonna pay whatever." And she's like, "Perhaps I would like to tour it if I'm gonna be paying towards this wedding." I'm like, "That's pretty fair.
Right.
That's pretty fair." But like, I was like, "This is who we're using for photography. This is who we're doing this, and this." And my husband was like, "All right, like I'll just be there." I'm like, "That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Surprise party." Yeah.
Let's let my wife or my bride, the wedding planner, she can take charge.
And I definitely did that.
Yeah.
100%.
My wife, obviously she's not in the industry, but she is very organized. She would probably crush it as a wedding planner or a
Oh,
wedding.
does she want a job?
I'll ask,
When your
maybe.
kids are older and they can be home by themselves on a weekend because then both their parents are working?
No, I mean, she actually has talked about like having me train her to like do editing or do some of my
Oh,
like, back office stuff. And, we just,
could you delegate it though?
probably not.
Yeah,
No, she's asked me actually several times to like show her like how to use Lightroom. And I'm like, oh yeah, yeah,
mm.
for sure. And then I don't.
Because it's easier for you to just do it. See,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was my problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Like, yeah, in my mind, I'm like, well, the amount of time that I'd have to like spend to show you like what to do, and then like, you know, and I get it. Like, she's doing her own thing. Like, she was a teacher, and then right before we had our third kid, she was like, I want to stay home with our kiddos and spend time with them. I was like,
Hmm.
all right, cool. And now she's in like maternal health and she's like a lactation counselor and
Oh,
she
cool.
like is she has her doula certification, so she's like doing all that stuff. Like, for many reasons I cannot do that. Like, so, um um so but like we each have our own lane. Like we're both our own business owners, which is super fun, but it's a delicate dance of scheduling and being present for our kiddos and
Hmm.
putting our energy into the things that we're passionate about.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Krista, I feel like we've pretty much hit our time here.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts
Like
about,
about what though?
I don't know, I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
We talked
Um,
about so much. Yeah.
yeah. Um, well, I just want to thank you for doing this.
Of course.
I am super grateful for you. I really hope our paths cross this year. I'm sure they will.
I'm sure.
Um, and yeah, you're fantastic at what you do. Just take the compliment. Um, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun. I love talking about myself, obviously.
Yeah, well, most people do. All
Just
right,
kidding.
Krista.
Just kidding. Oh,
I will see you soon.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.